I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
The Indiana Fever's series with the Las Vegas Aces hasn't felt like normal basketball. It has looked more like a scripted heist broadcast live on national television. Indiana shocked everyone by stealing Game 1 in Las Vegas, but from then on, the balance shifted. The Aces didn't simply respond with strategy or superior execution. They had a second advantage: the officials. The whistles fell so one-sided that the game stopped resembling real competition. Fever head coach Stephanie White refused to stay quiet. In one of the most emotional post-game interviews of her career, she openly demanded a league-wide investigation into WNBA officiating. Fans inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse saw the same thing. Social media exploded with clips and outrage. And the box scores reflected the imbalance. The Aces weren't winning these games through dominance, they were being carried by officiating. That reality overshadowed what should have been the real story: Indiana's resilience. The Fever played with toughness and heart every night, only for the narrative to be stolen by questionable whistles.
Disappointing, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both ways. But we also can't allow that to consume us, right? Like, we've got to be able to play through that. We've got to be able to control the things that we can control.
This wasn't the first time Indiana had faced two adversaries, the opposing team and the referees. From the beginning of the series, favoritism was obvious. Game 1 showed the template: Las Vegas couldn't find an offensive rhythm, so they leaned heavily on free throws. Meanwhile, Indiana's strong physical defense somehow kept turning into foul trouble. Clean contests became whistles. Vegas players could throw elbows and push inside with little consequence, while Fever defenders were punished for the slightest contact. The double standard was impossible to miss.
Steph, why don't you think you were able to find any flow, and when that was the case, what are you trying to do to jumpstart things, maybe on the defense?
Well, it's hard for us to find flow when there's a foul call every 10 seconds. I mean, it just really is. And when they're at the free throw line, we can't get up and down the floor. And that's a challenge. They were much more aggressive and physical defensively. We didn't counter that with our off-ball actions or with our back cuts. So they took us out of our comfort zone. I mean, offense is about rhythm, it's about timing, it's about spacing. We allowed them to do that, and they kept us from doing it.
By Game 2, the pattern was undeniable. The officials weren't just calling fouls, they were controlling the tempo. Indiana's flow was broken again and again. By Game 3, it had escalated into a wall the Fever couldn't climb. The defining moment came in the third quarter. Aaliyah Boston, Indiana's anchor, was called for a foul on Jackie Young. White immediately motioned for a review, the bench backed her, and fans prepared. But the referees ignored the request entirely. They wouldn't even acknowledge it. Seconds later, Chelsea Gray drained a three-pointer, flipping momentum completely.
A'ja Wilson is 1 for 12 as a foul is called on Boston, and that will be number 2 on Aaliyah Boston.
You saw Indiana picking up full court pressure defensively, and if you're Aaliyah Boston, that's the one spot on the floor you do not want to get a foul called.
And Stephanie White is trying to challenge it and did not call the timeout in time. Gray in the corner. Connect!
Indiana's hard-earned lead was wiped away not by Vegas's play, but by officials refusing to review a call. The Gainbridge crowd erupted, boos raining down as disbelief turned to fury. Clips spread online within minutes, with fans and analysts calling it blatant evidence of bias. The breakdowns didn't just show one missed call. They showed a pattern: flops ignored, elbows overlooked, cheap shots unseen, all in favor of the Aces.
2-minute recap from last night. So A'ja Wilson pushes Howard in the back. Howard pushes her in the back. It's a foul on Howard. Look at this. Aaliyah Boston gets totally fouled by Nalissa Smith. Like, it's obvious, but no call. And then A'ja Wilson gets the call for not half as much. And then Nalissa Smith gets the call for not even getting touched. Here's a replay just to prove it to you. Yep, didn't get touched.
At that point, it no longer looked like simple human error. It looked like an agenda. Watch the tape. A'ja Wilson bulldozed into Boston like a football fullback. Play on. Indiana defenders were shoved to the floor, no whistle. Yet if a Fever player so much as brushed against a jersey, the whistle screamed. This wasn't about Las Vegas winning through talent. It was about referees handing them lifelines until the score tilted their way.
Followed up by Lexi Hall getting called for the foul.
I thought it was egregious, honestly. I mean, I thought it was obvious. I felt like AB got one, had one going to the rim. They're in rotation. And then Lexi's, I felt like equally, we talk about, coming into the path, and it was an offensive player veering into the defensive player's path.
The Fever's response, grit over quitting. Most teams would have folded under that weight. Many would have dropped their heads and accepted the unfairness. But Indiana didn't. The symbol of that defiance was Lexi Hall. Hall wasn't supposed to shine. She'd injured her back in Game 1 and was questionable for every game afterward. Even in warm-ups, she moved stiffly, her face betraying pain. Most assumed she'd play only a few placeholder minutes. Instead, she turned in the performance of her career.
Lexi, you have drawn the most offensive foul in the W this year, including the playoff. How are you able to do that?
I'm just trying to defend as hard as I can, and there's only certain screens you're allowed to set, so just trying to trail them, and that's all I can really say.
Hull finished with 16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal, shooting 6-4-10 from the field and draining 3 crucial threes. Those shots weren't just numbers, they were lifelines, reviving the Fever every time Vegas threatened to pull away. Her 8 threes across 2 games tied a Fever playoff record. Her 16 points marked a career playoff high, and she did it while battling obvious pain.
Boston has the mismatch on Lloyd. Help comes. Kick out. Cole will fire. And hit from 3. Last 2 positions inside from Indiana. Smith tied up by Hall. And a jump ball between Smith and Hall.
What made it unforgettable wasn't just the stat line, but the way she earned it. Every rebound was a fight. Every loose ball a collision. Hull grimaced in pain but still boxed out players larger and healthier. She dove to the floor, absorbed hits, and still had the presence to hit shots on the other end.
On the left side of the floor, just to clear out, letting Jackie Young go to work.
Jackie Young with 17 points. Boston to the corner. Hull catch, fire, and hit. Correct call. Evans dishes. Ray whips a pass inside. What a denial from Lexi Hall.
The Hull able to save the play.
12-point game, a little under 2.5 to go. Hall hits Indiana's first field goal of the quarter.
Her effort kept Indiana alive when officiating tried to drain them. Gamebridge fans rallied around her, recognizing what they were seeing, a warrior sacrificing her body for her team. Every shot and rebound reignited the arena, even as whistles tried to silence it.
Back to Hall, wide open 3 is good.
The floor that she wants, doesn't it?
It does. Mitchell, connect. Here's Mitchell. Mitchell, one more. You bet.
But that's what made the night bittersweet. On the night Hull delivered her best playoff performance, the conversation wasn't about her. It was about referees tilting the game. The spotlight she earned was stolen, just as Indiana's fight was. This theme extended to the series' biggest star. Aya Wilson, the league's MVP, was largely shut down by Aaliyah Boston's defense. Game 3 exposed it clearly.
Offensive foul, practically a football check, and the Aces score. So now the Aces cut it to 2, and then A'ja Wilson sets an illegal screen, and they tied things up. And then Lexi Hall gets called for a foul for doing nothing when they just had 2 illegal screens they didn't call. All right, so this is fair. Same thing happens on the other side, but they don't call a foul for Kelsey Mitchell. So Leah Boston gets called for this foul for getting her arm grabbed, but Stephanie White can't challenge. They won't let her. That's the second time this game they didn't let her have her challenge. And then A'ja Wilson starts acting like a big baby.
Wilson opened with a confident three-pointer. Then she disappeared. By halftime, she was 1-4-11 from the field. She finished with just 13 points on 20 attempts, 6 makes all night, a dreadful shooting line for any player, let alone an MVP. Instead of asserting herself in the paint, Wilson drifted outside, forcing contested jumpers. Boston walled her off possession after possession, forcing tough shots and frustrating her rhythm.
And then here we go. She gets a foul call with a 3-point game for, I don't know why they called that foul, but it's the third quarter and they want them to win. So here we go. Ace is up by 3. They call another foul for A'ja Wilson that isn't a foul. All right, so then they call another foul on the Fever that isn't a foul. And then to end the game after it's out of control because the Fever had a 6-point lead, but they kept calling fouls, another foul for A'ja Wilson that's not a foul. Ball don't lie, A'ja. Missed 11 shots in a row during this game.
But here's the sting, Las Vegas didn't need Wilson to be dominant. They still won. Not because of her, but because officiating and role players kept the scales tilted. Jackie Young dropped 25 points, hitting dagger jumpers whenever Indiana rallied. Chelsea Gray added 15 steady points. Kelsey Plum chipped in. Collectively, they patched up Wilson's inefficiency. Media coverage downplayed Wilson's struggles. Headlines focused on her rebounds, blocks, and all-around impact. Few gave Boston the credit she deserved for neutralizing her. Even worse, Wilson still got away with questionable place elbows, undercuts, swinging arms, with almost no whistles. Afterward, Las Vegas coach Becky Hammon even complained that Wilson shot only one free throw in 38 minutes. The irony was staggering, the Aces had lived at the line the entire series. Complaining about not getting more freebies insulted every fan watching. The truth was simple, Indiana executed their defensive plan. They bottled up Wilson. But thanks to officiating, Las Vegas never paid the price for her inefficiency. That's why the Aces' wins felt hollow, not earned dominance, but protection.
Got hit a lot tonight. To shoot one free throw in 38 minutes. I know they told me not to say anything, but I can't.
It wasn't simply the defeats that left everyone frustrated. What stung most was the spectacle created by the officials, overshadowing the actual basketball. That was the breaking point for Stephanie White. She refused to hold back, refused to stick to polite coach speak. After the game, her press conference was raw and direct. White said out loud what players, fans, and analysts had been shouting for months: the WNBA can't keep ignoring this. What's needed isn't a short memo, nor a half-hearted apology delivered behind closed doors. It demands something far bigger, a full, public investigation into the state of officiating across the league.
I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
Stephanie White's emotions were impossible to miss. She's endured battles as both player and coach, but this felt different. It wasn't just about a scoreboard, it was about her athletes being denied a fair fight. Lexi Hull sacrificed through pain, Aaliyah Boston absorbed constant double teams, and Kelsey Mitchell fought nonstop defensive pressure, only to have it stolen by officiating. White made it clear, the problem isn't inconsistency, it's the integrity of the game itself. We've seen Caitlin Clark take hard hits with no whistle, while softer contact draws fouls the other way. Boston gets tagged for phantom calls after clean defense. Hustlers like Hull and Mitchell are penalized while opponents flop their way to points. This series is simply the loudest example of a season-long issue that has gone unchecked.
Here's Boston, back to Hull. Sets herself up, Mitchell is free, laying it in. Been a while since Mitchell has gotten a shot attempt. Mitchell will get one here. It's hit.
Stephanie White's push for accountability goes beyond her team. It's about safeguarding the league's future. The reality is clear, without Caitlin Clark's star power, without the Fever's resurgence, and without the wave of new fans packing arenas and breaking TV records, the WNBA wouldn't have this spotlight. Yet instead of protecting that momentum, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has stayed quiet while officials hand advantages to the defending champions. Everyone sees it, fans in the stands, analysts breaking down tape, social media buzzing with outrage. The only people pretending it isn't happening are in the league office, hoping the uproar fades away. But White made sure it won't. Her demand isn't a rant, it's the first serious call from inside the league for real accountability. If Engelbert ignores it, the message is obvious: fairness isn't the priority, protecting favorites is. And that's the bottom line. White has shifted the focus back to officiating corruption, and if there's any justice left in this game, her words will be the spark that forces long overdue reform. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story.